Call the meeting to order. Can I have an acceptance of the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Second by Mr. O'Toole. It's 7:14. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is unanimous. Sean and then Marty. We were in executive session and just came out. We were in there to conduct a contract negotiation for non-union personnel, and we'll be talking about that later in the meeting. We are going to start with any walk-ins. Are there any walk-ins here this evening? Yes, sir.
I don't know what you mean by walk-in, but I walked in. I'm
Okay.
not on any committee, I'm on a senior center committee.
Okay, so is there a topic that you wanted to talk about that wasn't
I
on
just
the...
wanted to listen.
Okay. Oh, you're great. Thanks for coming. Seeing none, then we'll go right to the report of the town administrator.
Thank you. I want to give the board an update on the public facilities and our 3 building projects, and then Ms. Curran has come in to talk about our town meeting stuff under my report. So we have 3 building projects in, really starting to get into full gear right now, and I wanted to update the board briefly on each of them. So the school construction progress project, the middle school, all of the development review team met with the staff, project managers, OPM, school personnel, and Agostoni Bacon, the contractors, so they can get to know each other, open the lines of communication, determine various offices to contact when issues or problems arise. As everybody will know, folks watching at home, the entire site this week has been cleared. Last week, traffic pattern and Jersey barriers are in place. The next thing they will be doing in the next week is the drainage. So that's what will be happening on the site. The school is doing a weekly or bi-weekly update that's going out to all the parents. We receive that as well. It will go on our website and also on our Facebook simultaneously when we get them. The library, if you've gone by, and we've posted pictures on Facebook, the foundation is starting to be laid. A lot of the drainage work went in. If you drove by, you'd see the rebar that was in place to set the concrete, and that work is going on. The public safety complex, the site has been cleared. They are now working on the septic system, putting fencing around the perimeter, and then the rebar is going to be delivered next week, and they'll be working on that berm that is separating the parking lot from the conservation trail on the Ellis Estate. I do want to talk a little bit for the board, and for folks that, want to see more detailed information about any of these projects, we're happy to have folks come in and look at it. We get a report like this. The Public Building Commission meets every other week. This tells every single day what happened, who visited, what was delivered this is November and December for the library. This is the entire report we get from the OPM for the public safety complex. We just got a thinner one, obviously, for the school because it just started. So we're getting lots and lots of information, lots of eyes on the site. I think the board has directed, and we're committed to really bringing in these projects on time and having a lot of oversight and ensuring that we deliver our taxpayers the project that they want. Outside the town administrator and selectman's office, there's going to be a bulletin board. We're going to put the schedule charts. We get a project schedule for each project. It shows what's supposed to happen each week or how long a particular aspect of the construction is supposed to last, and drags it out through the entire end of the construction season. So we'll have that up on the wall, along with photos and stuff like that. Again, updates for both public safety and the library, along with the school, going up on Facebook, going up on the town's website. If we feel the need to comment on Facebook, we will do that. Somebody had a great question last week about the library, asking how much it cost. We were able to put that information right up. So there's 3 construction meetings for each project each week, and the Public Building Commission's meeting bi-monthly. So lots of staff doing that in addition to the normal stuff, but things are going really well, and we're pleased with the progress so far.
Thank you. So do you want to talk with Kathy?
Yeah, so the next item on your agenda is, there, as you know, a vacancy in our state senatorial district, which involves 7 communities, and so we need a primary and a special election. The Senate President, Stan Rosenberg, has filed legislation to set the date of that primary and the special election, which is impacting our town meeting schedule. So, and that's an agenda item for you right now, but Kathy's come to tell you the specific sense. It's the headache in her office.
You're going to see a lot of me this year, you guys. So the Senate is voting on this Thursday, okay, tomorrow, and it's 99% probability that the state primary would be held on April 12th, and the special state primary and the special election will be May 10th. 11 days later is our annual town election. So let's talk about the town meeting. Town meeting, if you have a second night, what do we do? If we keep it on, it's impossible, let's back up. It's impossible to do the town election on Monday night, turn that over for a state election the next day. All right, we all know that. State elections run 13 hours, that's just the hours the polls are open, not give or take the ends in the beginning. According to Mass General Law, Chapter 39, Section 9, the Board of Selectmen may delay the annual town meeting. So we're covered under Mass General Law. I know our bylaw states that it's supposed to be the second Monday of April for the annual town meeting. So this does not, if we delay it to the 14th, it's only 3 days later. It doesn't affect the town election at all. I don't have to change the town election date. That stays on the 21st, the 6th Saturday after the annual. So that's fine.
What day is the 14th?
The 14th is a Thursday. Now, keep in mind, I haven't obviously sent over any building use forms or anything like that to the high school, but
It is good for the moderator, though. I reached out to him
it is, but that
first.
was my next question.
Yeah, it's good for the moderator.
So that works for him, works for everybody else. I can clean up this special primary. It's going to be as short as far as turnout. It's not, I don't expect it to be huge. And I can turn that over enough that I can still do the town meeting by Thursday. That's not an issue. So it's a matter
So you
of...
can do Tuesday, Thursday?
Pardon me?
You can get the election on Tuesday and the,
And the town meeting on Thursday, yeah. We can do that. That was my other thing. Tying up the gym for the weekend would be kind of risky.
You can't, you're probably going to have to do the following Tuesday, because that Monday after is a holiday.
So you wouldn't do it on a Friday?
Now we're going into April vacation.
So it'd be a Thursday or whatever date you said if it went. You can do a time certain when you adjourn that meeting, though, so you don't necessarily have to do
what
that.
week is April vacation? Is it that week?
It's that week.
Yeah.
It's the week
Yeah.
after.
So, yeah.
Would you, you wouldn't do Friday as the second night?
I would be hesitant,
Yeah.
but
I don't think the turnout would be.
yeah, on a 4-day week, a 3-day weekend, Kath.
Oh, that's right, that's right.
But we
the
can talk
beginning
about
of
it later in terms of what works best,
Yeah.
because I knew it was a holiday, but I forgot it was also April vacation.
Right. So, that is that issue. The other issue is just,
Well, what other options do we have?
Not a lot.
we don't have a lot. We have postponing it to April vacation week. That would be an act of legislature to, no, I'm sorry. If we did it vacation week, postpone it a week, it would be Tuesday.
We wouldn't do it during vacation week.
Okay, so then it would be the week after that. That puts the town election the first week in June, and I don't know if we're allowed to do that. I think the town meeting can't be delayed any later than June 1st, but I don't,
And then the election's no
The
less
election
than
would be
30, no less than 30,
yeah.
right?
So what about
It would be
before?
it'd still be the 6th Saturday. The election would still, excuse me, Tony, the election would still be the 6th Saturday after the annual. So if we had it it would be the first Saturday in June.
So what about
Earlier.
earlier,
That's Memorial Day weekend.
the week of the 4th?
It's the meeting the week before.
The meeting the week before?
Oh, the meeting? What day?
Some day of the week of
A
the
week
4th.
prior to the special
Maybe this
election.
Thursday, the 7th. Then if we needed to move it, we could do it the following Thursday.
What day?
How's that work in the budget?
I wish I had a calendar in front of me. So you're proposing,
Well, Yeah, I'm not proposing, I'm just
You're
brainstorming.
Yeah, was it 6 weeks? Are you talking May?
April, so right now, in the normal course of business, it would be April 11th.
Correct,
So you're proposing April 14th,
correct.
which doesn't give us a good time to have a second
Second
night.
night, correct.
So I'm saying go backwards 3 days and
Like
do
the
it
6th or something.
April 6th or 7th, Wednesday or Thursday night.
I don't think you can move it forward. According to Mass General Law, you can only postpone. That's all I know.
That would move your entire budget review schedule up 2 weeks.
If we moved it 2 days?
Because the warrant and the charter, the posting of the warrant, and the review of the budget, and the printing of the warrant is all designed to be ready up to the day of the April 11th town meeting. You'd be moving up all of your review and all the advisory, too.
So if you, it'd be the 27th is the week after vacation? Is that the Monday after vacation?
The 25th.
Right.
What about the start time of town meeting? Does it have to be, can it be earlier in the evening?
No.
What about a Saturday?
Why can't it be early?
I just know that according to the bylaws, it's the second Monday in April, and then that's it. But then if you go to Mass General Law, it only says, and you might want to talk to town council about this, but it only says that that the Board of Selectmen can postpone.
No, but Marty's
time.
question is, we could start town meeting at 6 PM.
Start an hour earlier, so
absolutely.
we can, a little
Oh,
insurance, so
yeah,
we don't run into a
absolutely. I
second
don't
night.
see, that's up, you guys can set the hours for that, that's up to you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
but there's no guarantee.
Right.
We have not gone to 2 nights since I've been here, but there has been
went 2 in the morning.
concern about how late it is going.
Just gives us a little insurance, the extra hour.
The extra hour would be good.
So what about the Saturday before? Again,
Well, we
I just
changed
wanna have-
the bylaw,
here's-
says Monday.
I know, but Monday's not
No,
working.
they can change it to
Oh,
any
that's
day
right,
they
too, I'm
want. We
sorry.
changed that
Yes,
language.
sorry.
Right, but this would be the Saturday before. Oh, no, I guess it could, no, yeah, we wouldn't do the Saturday before April vacation. So if we did it on the 9th, 2 days before on the Saturday, would that throw off the budget?
You're saying that according to the law, we can only postpone, we can't do it before the stated date in the charter.
That's just what I'm reading at a Mass General Law.
All right, so let's... Okay, so what are you proposing?
April 14th.
With a makeup day, with the second day, the 25th?
Yes, because then it wouldn't interfere with April vacation.
Take
So
Monday as a
that
license.
would,
When do we have to decide? We have to wait for state legislation tomorrow to confirm that date of the 12th? And then will we decide at the next meeting? Is that...
If you feel you can't tonight. So we need dates, though, because the moderator has very limited availability. Staff, advisory, and capital are accustomed to being there, so, they may have other plans. I mean, a lot of staff orients their time till town meeting. That's not fatal, though, but I'm mostly concerned about the moderator.
absolutely.
What if we had it the 14th and do it earlier, and if we did have that second night by some improbability, that we could push it far out,
We do have less warrant articles this year than we did last year. How many did we do? About 10 less, Nancy, yeah.
Positive.
Get it, I just got it.
So do you guys want to go with the 14th? Sure.
Yeah, I'd like to vote tonight if we could.
Okay. All right, so...
Make a motion, do we have a motion, or do we have a motion that we
Is there a motion in here?
Motion in your packet. Oh.
Is it on the computer or?
Just change the
Do we
start
want to
time.
say 6 PM or?
Can the moderator make it 6?
Not, we'll cross that bridge. I didn't ask him about an earlier time, but, Kath, can you contact him tomorrow?
Why don't we make the motion at 6 if we have to change it next meeting to a different...
Move that the Board of Selectmen postpone the date of the annual town meeting from Monday, April 11th, 2016 to Thursday, April 14th, 2016, to begin at 6 PM.
Second.
Second by Mr. O'Toole. Further discussion? Any discussion from the audience? Seeing none? All in favor? Aye, it is unanimous.
We already did it.
Okay.
Changing the date doesn't change it.
Okay. All right.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, I mean, the warrant doesn't change, it's just, yeah.
Before we get into the scheduled items, I just wanted to just make a quick comment. The town of Situate had a tough week. Last night at 7 o'clock, there was a fire, a fatal fire where a man died, and unfortunately, fire department got there and got him to the hospital, and he passed away at the hospital. There's been a lot of requests out there from the public on information on this event, and at this point in time, we're really trying to gather everything together and let the family go through their grieving process, and eventually we'll get all the information that everybody needs in due time, but I think right now it's a time for reflecting and supporting the family. The other loss was 2 days ago. The Jenkins school teacher, Kevin Greer, passed away unexpectedly. And he was a school teacher, the high school baseball coach for 20 years, and a great pillar of the community, and will be sadly missed by all who knew him and all that played for him. And so, again, a tough couple days for the town. So, any comments, anyone on those topics? So just wanted to talk about that for a second. Moving on, we'll go to the topics that we're going to talk about tonight. The first one is an update on the Adaptive Building Reuse Committee. I see Karen Pritchard there, Al Bangert as well, the Director of Special Ops, and everybody else. Come on up and introduce yourselves.
Hello.
And give us an update.
Hi.
Hi, Karen, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Very well.
Good. So with us, we have many of the committee members. You know most of us. We obviously know Al, Stephanie Holland, Maura Dowley, Patricia Lambert, Gordon Price, Bob DiLorenzo, and Larry Guimay could not be here tonight, but they will be joining us tomorrow at our regular committee meeting. But we've been at it for a while, so we thought we should come in and let you know what's up. And we know we had John joined us a couple of months ago in a meeting, so we could kind of get some thoughts from him. But essentially, the work is divided down to, in the first few months, we were doing exploration. A lot of the folks on the committee were finding out about, our properties and what was going on in town for the first time, because they had not participated in the Public Facilities Master Planning Committee, so that was time really well spent. Then we had at the same time, Larry, who has quite a bit of experience on the development side, started to talk to people who could help us understand property valuation. So we've been sort of doing this parallel path of what do we have, what the obvious things we could do with the properties, and then, how do we figure out what, if we don't decide to use them for town use in the future, what could they be worth? So we're making progress slowly in those areas. The big sort of next step for us is to really understand in particular for the Gates building, really can the building be used for the uses that we know exist in town for both a senior center, and potentially town administration, potentially recreation. Really can it be used? We sent an RFP out a month ago, Al, and ended up interviewing 2 responding firms. We selected Durkee Brown and Catlin Petrovic to do the work for us in doing extensive blocking and planning of the property and say, can this really and truly work? I would characterize that the work that Durkee Brown had done 3 years ago when they did an assessment of the building to be a high-level assessment of what is the condition of the property, and then a very simple blocking plan of, you've got this much space, and if you applied this much plus a growth factor, do the parts and pieces fit? What we really need to understand is, functionally, can this building work for other purposes, and what would it take We've had a lot of engagement from seniors in almost all of our meetings, which is great. We've had very good turnout at some of our meetings. Some of them have been at the senior center, and we know they're obviously really interested in this work. And that's been actually really great because we've had a lot of feedback. So the next couple of months are really going to be about Durkee Brown doing their assessments. They're going to start doing interviews very quickly, sending out surveys to departments and heads in the town. You'll hear from them. They will be doing interviews after the surveys, and we expect them to move through most of their work through probably roughly mid-April, when we would get an assessment, a first assessment from them, maybe a little bit earlier. In the meantime, we would like to do our first public information session on February 6th. It's a Saturday at the high school, Saturday morning, basically to help the community understand what it is we're trying to do, and also to solicit feedback from them. Do you have any other ideas you want to make sure that we incorporate into our thinking and into Durkee Brown's thinking as we work through the process? The idea would be is that by summertime, we would have sort of a menu, if you will, of options. We think this fits, we think that doesn't fit. We think that in the case of the Gates School, you can use the property, but you need to use the property, take down part of the building and add another piece. And I'm talking out loud here, but really trying to get a full array of what the options would be for reuse, adaptive reuse of that property, and then potentially talk about adaptive reuse of these properties too, which are not specifically part of our charter, but become part of the conversation, you know, kind of as we move through this. So, did anybody have anything else to add?
So Karen, is the conversation to this point been pretty focused on Gates?
It has been pretty focused on Gates. It was specific to our charter that it would be. I think long-term, what happens here becomes part of this discussion, whether in this committee or in a subsequent effort, because of, you know, you'll be abandoning the police station and the fire station in short order.
Right, and as you start taking pieces, you talked about rec. So when you take rec out of the high school, or
Right.
out of where they go, it
Right.
frees up space somewhere else. If you take the water department out of there and move them, and it's, you know,
Exactly.
it's kind of like a spider that's going to,
Right.
you know, spin off to other buildings as well.
Exactly.
But right now, you're working on functionality of Gates, and then later, you'll figure out what the impact is on other town buildings.
Right. I think we need to first answer the question, is it even viable? Or in what form is it viable? How far do you have to go before you say, this could work, and then is it acceptable? So, you know, we need to know that we can answer that question and then move on.
I think you brought up a good point, and I know Sean has something to say, that the first round through is really just people saying, can we physically fit here? And it's really just, you know, not functionally, but just physically, can it kind of fit the needs? Is the building big enough? But it didn't mean that rec was going to have 5,200 square feet, and seniors were going to have 12, that, you know, it's
No.
all flexible in terms of
Right.
what, and in your look at, you may say, well, this group can't go there because this other group needs more space, so.
And it's important to note that the Durkee Brown team is Durkee Brown, Catlin, and Petrovic. Catlin and Petrovic, and John Catlin in particular, his career has been centered on senior center development. So Durkee Brown has got their expertise on adaptive reuse. They partnered with a firm that is very strong in senior center development, which we really felt strengthened, you know, the team and their ability to really do a really good, deep assessment of that property and say, can this work?
Good.
And then they'll come back and let us know.
Great. Sean?
It's very exciting. My opinion might have changed a little bit between now and the start of the library project. Remember Durkee Brown did this, analysis of it all, and I just hope that we don't have the surprises in the 100-year-old building, that we had a 40-year-old building. And I just think it's one of the nicest looking buildings and would be wonderful, but just have to take a really good hard look at it so we're not, you know.
Yeah, good point. It is made of brick, but,
But the windows, the mastic in the windows, the mastic in the foundation, you know, just stuff that I never would have dreamed that was in the library, and you just know there's got to be stuff in the junior high once you start changing things around. And whether it's a school or whether it's seniors or town hall, it probably is, you know, it's all the same code. Neil couldn't have come in at a better time, it's, you know, but, you know, they just might not put the technology into it for a school, obviously.
Right.
But it's still a town-owned building.
We did ask them, Durkee Brown in the interview, you know, given your experience with the property already, do you anticipate that the condition of the building would have changed much in the last 3 years? You know, and he said, we can't obviously answer that with any certainty, but what they did say was that if you intend to reuse the property, it's very important to prevent further deterioration, and you do that by keeping the building heated. So the fact that the building's occupied actually works in the town's favor if, in fact, there is any hope that we can reuse it.
and I think the plan is even after the middle school moves, that at least part of that building will still be used for some functionality too, so that's...
Right.
Any,
I don't understand.
Maura?
It's February 6th.
Okay.
Is that a final date, February 6th?
It's a proposed date at this point. Do you have a comment about the date?
No, I just wanted
Okay.
to see how you were going to publicize it, you know, if we were going to send it out in a, you know, a town email blast, because I think the more people that we can get to engage, you know, we're constantly hearing that we don't engage the public enough, and
Right.
you're making a great attempt to do that.
Right.
I just want to make sure you advertise it Saturday morning, that's a great time.
Great. Bob DiLorenzo is taken on the task of doing and also doing the communications and talking with the Mariner to make all that happen. So we will,
And we
in
can
fact...
do an email blast like we did,
Yeah.
right?
I think it's at the same date as the Winter Carnival.
Oh, yeah, it might be. Let's see.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, we would, it is.
Yeah,
It
starts at
11:30, so
11:30.
we have to start earlier.
We're starting at, 10. We can start at 9:30 if we need
That might
to.
make sense, yeah.
Okay.
Because the carnival starts
Okay.
at 11:30.
Yeah, the other thing I would add to the Durkee Brown effort is they will be, you know, sending out surveys to all of the town departments and subsequently doing interviews. We want to make sure that as they collect information, we don't just talk about how we do things today, but use the opportunity to talk about, you know, how we might want to do things differently in the future of getting the work done. That's sort of more reflective of the technology that the town is very quickly beginning to adapt and to leave behind the things that, you know, we don't need to do anymore. It's a great time to think about that because it might create cost savings, space savings, you know, you might think about storage differently and all that. So that's part of what we're asking them to do as we meet with them tomorrow night.
Marty?
Just a question, is there any sense, without segmenting the building, is there any sense from the discussions to this point where we're looking as far as money goes, just to, no, okay.
It's too soon.
I know it's
yeah.
too soon, but just based upon the condition of the building, any comments or?
We're just engaging them right now, so, and I think until they go through their assessment, it's just way too soon.
Well, they did it 3 years ago, and they said it was somewhere around $20 million to do what they were talking about. Any other questions? Any questions from the audience?
You know what, I thought...
One second, just need your name and address.
Dennis Cody, I live at Gilman Drive, 34 Gilman Drive. I thought I did hear at the last meeting that they don't have any experience putting an administration building together or combining it with a senior center. They've never done that. They're not, I don't believe that they even know where it's being done. So they were asked-
Who said that, Durfee Brown, or,
They were asked.
okay. Who responded, though? Karen, do you know who?
Well, it would have been Doug, but
They can't think of an example of where it was combined, other than, for instance, in Hingham.
Hingham, yeah.
So they said they hadn't any experience in personally in combining those.
But there were plenty of examples out there where that has been done.
Well, it makes sense that they brought in somebody that's familiar with that side of it as well.
Exactly.
To partner with.
The committee has tried to be very careful to not charge them with a pre-gone conclusion, such as the senior center will be in Gates, recreation will be in the cellar. It's a matter of, it's really wide open. That's why when we went out for the firm, we emphasized that they had to demonstrate their experience in senior center design, and that's why Durkee Brown combined forces with this other firm to put the best case forward that they would be able to work with us. So I'm confident that we're not giving them pre-drawn conclusions that they have to follow. So.
Great, good.
Can I ask one last question?
You may.
Would they come back and give you any type of advice as to whether or not, I think we'll look at the property as well, like the value of the property. So is it best to bring in a developer that would do a senior center complex on that property? Is that part of this evaluation, or is it strictly, a structure evaluation of the building itself?
Well, for their work, initially, it's an evaluation of the structure, but that actually is part of what we're looking at already, is if we don't use the structure, but we want to reuse the property, obviously, there's commercial value to it, but there's also value to the town to use it for other purposes, as, for example, senior center. We've had others come back to us and say, how about a senior center and, senior housing or something like that. So I think that's all going to be on the menu of options by the time we're done.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was clear in our charter to you guys that, look at it from an open mind, as Al's saying, and see what the best use of the property. It may be knock down the building and sell it. It may be add a wing to it and turn it into, as Joe used to say, a water slide. So, you guys, look at it and come back with the different options,
We're really excited, too, to hear what the community has to say, besides the bright light bulbs that are sitting here, what the community has to say about ideas that, we haven't thought of. So we're really interested in finding out what's out there.
And I think Sean brought up a great point, that if we can get some more assessment on whether the building has the structure to last another 50 or 70 years with renovation, because we don't want to run into the same problem that we're having right now.
That's kind of what I was trying to ask, the question as far as the condition of the building, how, where is it? That's what I was trying to say.
Right.
One of the things Doug Brown did say when we met with them to negotiate the fee was, we have the original construction documents for the entire building and the additions, which is not always common. So that's I think,
We have a good library, too.
No, we did not. No, we did not. So.
Federal.
Great. Well, thanks for coming in, and, if you can do this, at least every quarter, every couple months, come in and give us an update, that'd be great.
Okay, we will.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you all very
right,
much.
appreciate it.
The next discussion vote is on Old Oaken Bucket easement. Is Mike, he's not coming? Steve Bjorklund of Diamond Development. Steve, how are you?
Great, how are you guys?
Good. So we talked about this, when? A couple months ago?
Yeah, probably a few months ago. We talked about relocating the easement, and Mike Hayes prepared the documents, and they've been reviewed by town council, and I believe they've come back and they've been signed by the Historical Society, and I think tonight is just a vote to sign the actual document.
Great. So give us just a quick overview again of where the property is and where you're going to run the line and...
Sure. This property is directly across the street from the Old Oaken Bucket House on Old Oaken Bucket Road. The sign out there that talks about the Old Oaken Bucket is directly in front of this piece of property.
Okay.
So this is across the street from that. And it was owned at one time by the town, was sold to the Historical Society, and they are in turn selling the property to make some money to take care of the buildings that they have, because they're not in the business of owning raw land. the town has a existing easement which runs right in the middle of the upland portion of this lot, from Old Oak and Bucket Road, right straight down to a stream in the back, which goes around the reservoir and out into First Herring Brook. So what was voted before, and what we're looking to do is basically move that easement about 60 feet east of where it is right now, and Diamond Development will move the pipe, pay for all the expenses to do that, and we're also adding in what they call a hydro guard unit, which will clean up the town's water, which right now goes untreated, and all the sediment and everything ends up out in the stream. So that unit will be up right at the entrance on Old Oak and Bucket Road, so that it can be maintained. And this is the same type of unit we put in the subdivisions that we build. So it'll be much better treatment of the water going in, and in return for that, we'll be able to locate a house on the property.
How big is the property?
A little over an acre, I think. A lot of it's wetlands. 65,000 square feet. So it's about an acre and a half.
Sean?
What size diameter pipe are we going to use? I forget.
I think it's 21 inch. So it's the same as what's existing now. I mean, we're basically just moving it over 60 feet.
And the easement still goes where the other easement went when it gets on the other side of the property, is that right?
Yes.
Still gets
All the work that's being done is being done on the property itself, all within the easement area. So the pipe will reconnect back on the Historical Society's property in a manhole at the bottom of it, and then continue down to the stream. It'll just be cleaner water when it gets there.
Okay. Any other questions?
No?
Does anyone in the town, Tricia, did Kevin or anyone have any input on this?
No, actually, this actually, if I recall, Steve, improves the flow there, and so DPW was supportive of it. Right? That's my
The only other issue,
recollection.
DPW did ask us to put up a bond to do the work, $10,000, so we're just going to put the cash up and as soon as we're done. We did this on Hollitt Street. We didn't have to come to the selectmen for it. There was actually a pipe over there that we improved and extended it, a couple lengths of pipe, and put a distilling basin in, so we're pretty familiar with doing the work.
Great. All right, if there's no other questions, a motion?
Move to approve the agreement for the relocation of the town drainage easement at 50 Old Oak and Bucket Road, and to authorize the members of the board to execute the agreement on behalf of the town.
Second?
Second by Mr. O'Toole. Further discussion? I'm going to wait 1 second before we vote. Let John get settled and... Good evening. No problem. I didn't know if you had any comment on the easement that we talked about a couple of months ago to move that pipe.
No, this seemed like it was something that was supposed to have been dealt with earlier on, and they caught it, so town council, so.
Great.
Yeah.
Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? So it's unanimous, 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve.
And the work will be done in the spring.
Great.
Is it in there?
And so you have the we'll sign the documents tonight.
No, I'm good.
Okay. Moving on to the next item, which is Situate Recreation, the Winterfest special event on 2/6/16.
So I just asked Lorraine if anybody from Rec was coming, and she said, no, you told them they didn't have to, so I guess it's me. So this is a continuing effort, I think we talked a little bit about last week, is to have more non-golfers enjoy Widows Walk, especially in lieu of the fact that the bond's retired in another year, and we'll be looking at different improvements there. We put the skating rink there a couple of years ago, and now we have the Winter Festival that's planned for February 6th. And we really want, it's really a family event. We're starting to really get a nice little tradition with Public Safety Day, Big Truck Day, and now the Winter Festival here. So I'm just going to read a couple of items that are in your backup. They're doing a special event application, and since it's a brand-new event that we haven't done before, the board has to actually approve it, because brand-new events come to the board first time around. The number of free activities planned are an ice fishing demonstration, snowshoe and cross-country skiing demo, demo, face painting, music and artwork provided by the Situate Public Schools, storytime craft with our library, the ice skating rink, sled races, horse-drawn hay rides around the golf course on the cart trails, a longest drive contest, so we'll actually let people be able to do some drives there, some arcade games, the Providence Bruins mascot, and also food vendors outside, hot dogs, hot cocoa, and it should be a really, really fun day. And the rec department and the golf superintendent have put a lot of time in it, and we just hope people attend as a new first-time event.
Where are they gonna park?
The parking is actually going to be at Greenbush. We just got permission from MBTA today, so we'll be shuttling people. We also are waiting to hear if the sloop will be doing the route, if we can reroute the sloop for that time. But we did get the Greenbush approval today.
Right. So this is February 6th. It's from 11:30 a.m. till 3:30 p.m., and it looks like a full day of events. Last year, they put the ice skating rink up there. I think they're making it bigger this year, if I remember correctly. And we had all that snow, so it really wasn't used as much as it could have been. So I'm looking forward to more use of that property this winter. So I think this is a great kickoff. I saw Economic Development is behind it, helped sponsor some of it, and all the other town departments, and rec especially, their support of it. So it sounds like a great event. Any comments from anyone?
Yeah. Tony, I just wanted to publicly thank John Reedy and some of the firemen, and I don't know police and fire who are involved. The rink is up and running, it's the same size. Jennifer McMullen, her husband, did a lot of work to get it up and running, so I believe it's frozen by now. It's the same size as it was last year, so. Tricia, just one question though, if the people get there early, couldn't they use that Widows Walk parking lot until that fills up? Especially...
I don't know. I think maybe some of it, but a lot of that parking lot's going to be used for the vendors to stage, because the food's going to be mostly outside as well. I know Jamie's doing some stuff, and we'll be selling the Widows Walk dog walkers stuff, and Tony mentioned a good point. The Economic Development Commission donated $3,000 to help with the event.
Oh, great.
So they met with them, and they were extremely supportive.
I don't think anybody on the South Shore does something like this. I may be wrong, but I mean, I look at it and I'm like, what a great opportunity to showcase Situate, but it's, again, something that we've come up with that I don't think exists. So it's nice, another amenity.
Great. So, can I have a motion for the special permit?
Move to approve a special event permit to the Situate Recreation for the Winter Festival on February 6th from 11:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m.
Second by Ms. Curran. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is unanimous. Great. Moving on.
Anybody who's interested in volunteering can call the rec department.
Great.
That's good.
Anyone interested in volunteering, call the rec department. They are looking for volunteers.
On Facebook?
Yeah, check with Jen. Thanks for that.
Great. The next discussion and vote is on the town administrator's contract. And I'm happy to announce that we have negotiated and worked out a deal with the town administrator, and we intend to extend her contract for a period of 3 years with an option of 2 years in the sole discretion of the board. I think we're very fortunate to be able to retain the town administrator for all the accomplishments that she's made and the hard work that she's put into this town, and where she's taken it from. How many years have you been here?
6.
6.5. From 6.5 years ago. On a personal note, I know I've told you this before, she has a very, very, very tough job, and it's difficult to be in her shoes where she has to say no a lot, because people don't like hearing no, especially taxpayers, where they feel that they're the customer. And we don't always say no, but the no's are louder than the yeses in terms of the response you get. So I think you do a great job running this town. I think you've upped it many, many levels, and I think your professionalism, and I think that your ability to see the big picture, and really able to say no when you have to say no, even when it's not, when you know you're going to get some backlash, it's hard to do it, and you do it well. And we all have our flaws, and we all do what we do. But I think you do a very good job, and I think you're dedicated to this town. I'm really pleased that you want to be here for another 3 years. And I know the board, everyone will speak their own, but I think everyone, I speak for everyone. I say that we're lucky to have you for that time period. So thank you. Just in terms of the contract itself, it's a public document, it'll be made public once we sign it. Her current contract says that it will be, undertake a review of the current salaries of other town administrators in the area, and that's what we do every couple of years. So in fiscal 16 and 17, that's what we have to do. So we went out and did an extensive search and got documents on about 20 different communities to see where the pay scales were going, and it's all over the place. And you have a lot of experience. You've been doing this for almost 30 years now. And we think that the contract that we've got between us is very fair. It puts you where you should be at the higher end of that, not at the top by any means, but securely where you should be for the experience and the work that you put here, so I'm very comfortable with that. And most of the other terms are the same as they were for the last 6 years. There weren't a lot of changes to the contract. So that's all I have to say. I think it's a good deal for the town, and I think we'll continue to progress on the things that you've started on and that you're working on currently. So I'm excited about it. Anyone else want to mention anything? Maura?
Sure. Start my end, I just want to say I'm happy to support extending and renewing your contract. I think Trish has brought a lot of processes and improvements to the town, especially that I've witnessed being an advisory board member and being fortunate enough to be on this board. So I'm very happy to support employees for the next 3 years. Different things like the capital planning, we never had that in this town prior to Trish coming in, and really has allowed us to make some significant improvements within our budgetary constraints, and we've hired some terrific people. I think, today, with the fire that happened in a social worker years ago, we really advocated for that, and Laura's been terrific. Additional to Bill coming as an IT director and our facilities person, a lot of great additions to our town operations that I think have been beneficial to the overall service of the community. So I'm happy to support Trish's extension, and congratulations if it gets approved tonight.
Marty, Sean, anyone?
I just think it's a fair, it's a very fair contract. There was some negotiations going on, and I am happy to support it as it is. So.
Great.
I was just going to say, long and short is that Tricia works for the town. She has been working for the town, and she works not just 9 to 5, she works constantly. And, I've used the example of Storms as an example of how she works nonstop, staying over here, helping the town, trying to figure out solutions during urgent situations. Well, that's what happens during the weekday, too. And I'm very proud that we have her, and I think everybody in town should be very pleased and proud that we have her. All you have to do is go back 7 years, and we can see what the town was like, you can see what the kind of the administration we had, and that, during that time period with the economy being so bad, and that's our town has been able to weather that, not only weathered it, but we've been able to kind of improve our ratings for bonding, and we've gone out, we've been able to do some investment in your town, and all of that starts with, the town administrator, who obviously works for us, the board, but these are the directions that we've given her, and she's done it not just adequately, she's done it splendidly. And so I'm very proud of that, and I'm very happy that we're able to maintain and keep her. A lot of people turn around and say, well, gee, what if she goes? Well, let me tell you, if she were to go, our situation, our town would not be in the situation it's in. It would actually, there's not an awful lot of qualified people of her stature. And, I've seen it, we've gone through it, and, as I say, I'm very happy to have her as our town administrator, and I think everybody in town should be. And right now, with the economic times, who knows? But we're in a great financial position. We've been able to do a lot of things between the water, between the capital investors, and whether it's the school, public safety, whether it's just in personnel and getting our personnel and trying to get us into the 21st century with technology. A lot of people don't know what it was like in this building 7, 8 years ago, except the employees who were here. And we've been, led into the 21st century in so many fronts, and being out in the forefront on so many issues. And, so I'm very happy that we were able to, and, I'm very pleased that you were able to, that you want to stay with us, and, because I know what you've done the past 6.5 years is going to be indicative of what you're going to do in the next 3 years. So, thank you, and as I say, the board worked really hard to try to negotiate and work through on a fair deal, and it is a fair deal. So, thank you.
Sean?
I shouldn't have gone last.
Our senior selectman?
I know, but I just wanted to be polite. No, and I just think I wanted to go last on purpose, because I've been here the longest, and I've worked longer with our previous town administrator than anyone else there on the board. And John, and Laura, between personnel and finances, the only other thing that I could add that no one said anything, and I agree with everything you said, is I would hire her in a second for my own company. So that should say it all.
Speaks volumes.
And absolutely.
Don't give her options right now.
No, yeah. No, thank you very much. Enjoyed working with you. Hours don't mean anything. You're here all the time. You're reachable. I could go on and on and on. You do a fantastic job. Thank you.
Great.
Can I say something?
You may.
So, just briefly, thank you. Thank you for your confidence in me and your support. We have done a lot together in the last 6.5 years, but absolutely none of it would have been possible without your support and your direction in implementing a lot of things that were sometimes radical and sometimes just basic standard operating procedures. So, everything that we've done has not been able to get off the ground without your support. And that is, I say this publicly, and I think the staff knows it, 50 selectmen in 30 years, you are by far the best board I've ever worked for. And coming in from the outside, when you live in town your whole life, it's hard sometimes to recognize the differences in different towns and how much time volunteer boards and committees spend, and the time that you devote to the town and residents is unparalleled. And also all the great folks we have on boards and committees. It makes the town great. And two more things. Everything that you've directed or I've recommended and we've implemented is the direct result of the staff that we have. I cannot say enough about the team of people, both support staff and the professional staff. The department heads here are just gold. I can't say enough about them. They work as hard as I do. They are so talented, and from storms to FEMA maps to the Spire today, last night, just a terrific group of people that I'm proud to work with every day. And I just finally want to thank my husband, who has not seen a lot of me the last 6 years, but understands that the work is important, and he's come to know the town and you and the staff very well as well. So just thank you to you all. I look forward to another 3 years, hopefully, and much milder winters.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great. Any other comments? Great. Seeing none, if I could have a motion. Any questions?
In your packet, there's a on your packet.
All right. Do you have a copy of one? Do you want to just make a motion, John?
Yeah, I'll move to accept the town administrator's contract what's the date on it?
You really need to read.
Yeah, I have it here. Should I print it out or should I?
Yeah, why don't you go print it out?
And then they come back.
Yeah, there's-
Come back. They can do it after.
while Lorraine's out, why don't we, actually, we'll wait for her. So she can take the minutes.
The thing we used coming, they had presentation.
Tony, you turn that off.
Flip this
I
way.
did not turn it off, but it was just,
Second time.
I didn't do it.
No, it's just,
She said she didn't feel well, and she wasn't going to talk too much tonight. I didn't turn it off. But, oh my gosh.
Ruth, you got what I said, right? I did, okay.
Oh, goodness.
Good thing I'm sitting beside you, Mark.
It is.
I'd be black and blue. All right. So we're going to start after this into the budgets.
Tony, I have the motion if, John, did you want John to read it?
doesn't matter, whoever you do.
Here she comes.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
It's all right. Thank you.
I just remembered I had sent it to her.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ann.
Looks good. Motion?
You ready?
Yep.
I move the Board of Selectmen vote to amend and renew the employment agreements between the Town of Situate and Town Administrator Patricia Bencasey for a period of January 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2020, with an option to renew for up to an additional 2 years at the sole discretion of the Board of Selectmen.
Second.
Second by Mr. Harris. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is unanimous, 5-0. Great. Okay, now we'll dive into, the next topic is the fiscal year 17 budgets. And we'll start with number 241, which is the inspection department. Neil, how are you?
Good evening. Very well.
So, we've kind of started off just by, in summary, if there was any one or two particular things that you were hoping to accomplish this year, or big picture things that you're working on, just so...
Yeah, we have several goals. Some are related to the administrative aspects of the job and, the permitting software and things of that nature. I think our goal is to face the challenge of some very serious development coming down the pipe, and respond to that, and, continue to perform our duties in that regard successfully, and hopefully see these various projects through to completion, successful completion. The middle school, the public safety facility, the library, and then there's a lot of private development going on out there, which we have a potential Chapter 40B 250 unit coming in, so we're just kind of gearing up for all of that, but
Right.
we're prepared.
Yeah, I think in the past years, we thought that building was going to slow down, and it's in fact picking up. Not only are you involved in the 3 public building that Tricia mentioned earlier, but like you said, there's a lot of big developments that are potentially on the horizon, so
Exactly.
keeps you...
Well, a lot of them have come to fruition. Several 40Bs that were held up in the courts and everything, they're just ready to go now. So, we really don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, some of it's economy dependent, but there doesn't appear to be any slowdown.
Are those the Herring Brook and, I was going to say Situate Woods, I don't know what it's called now.
Stockbridge Landing,
Road
yeah,
now.
yeah.
Are those the two that you're thinking of that are gearing up?
Yep.
And is the development on, I forgot, Country Way, where Morning Glory's next to there, is that actually going forward with those apartments?
That's, I believe, 30 apartment units are proposed there. And, we keep hearing rumors that someone, that people are interested, so it's...
The only other thing I'd bring up, and then Sean can ask, is that you're also very much involved in the FEMA stuff that's going on. So
Yes.
you're kind of our...
We're keeping our fingers crossed this winter.
But a lot of people don't know to the extent that you're really the expert on a lot of these areas, and the town relies on your knowledge and expertise to...
I've been here the longest, I think, that's why.
We'll take it.
Everybody's catching up.
So, Sean?
What effect will the flood maps have on, like Herring Brook, whatever, they'll have to comply, won't they?
Yep. They went from elevation 10 flood, they were in, floodplain, which they designed the 3 buildings, 3 20-unit buildings were designed outside of the floodplain. 2 of them are now in the floodplain. They went from AE 10 to AE 16. And that, on the latest draft, that didn't change, so.
Okay, so to John's point, that will also drive whether that gets developed or not.
Yeah, depending on if they amend the maps, that could change, because they're looking at I think, primarily estuary, calculations that they did, wave run-up,
But I guess
and the
my-
impact, so that could go down, so.
My point is, no matter what type of development, 40B or not, they still have to comply.
They have to comply, if they remain in the floodplain, yes.
Okay.
So it's a mixed, FEMA maps have a mixed bag. It'll certainly help a lot of people in their homes, hopefully, but for that type of a development, it could have prevented it in the old maps, but it...
Yeah, that would have given some food for thought.
Oh, well.
So in terms of your budget, last year, in totality, it was about $306,000. This year, the town administrator recommends $312,000, which is about a 2% increase. Most of it is salary and other personnel issues, or just regular pay increases and...
Tony, can I just jump?
Yeah.
Neil's assistant, Bob, that's been just over a year, and that must have been a huge help to you.
Huge help.
So,
Yep, absolutely huge.
you know.
Yeah, he's a professional architect, and his field was designing schools, so he's been really just plan review and just meeting with the principals, it's been a huge help.
And I'll tell you, he's on the design review too, right, Neil?
He's on the planning board.
Okay, he's not on the design review.
No, I don't think so, but they work hand in hand.
But I've noticed his,
I'm sure he goes to some of their meetings.
yeah, you can see some of his...
Very involved.
Fingerprints on
Yeah,
some of the
yeah,
designs.
yeah.
They're well done. So he's a good architect.
So no new personnel, 2% increase. I see that we do have that same kind of true-up that's difficult to figure out, where the mileage was almost 10,000 last year, now it's 100 this year, so.
I can explain that. What we did is we're changing the way we pay the inspectors, and we gave them a little raise, and we're rolling the mileage over into the inspection fee. It's just a lot less complicated that way. And I did a survey of various towns, and many towns do it that way. It's just difficult, so every time they stop, write it down, stop. It's going to save them time, and it's going to come out in the wash.
So that's the part-time salaries to the mileage?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay. Great. Any other questions from anyone?
Just a quick question. So for the outside inspectors, Neil, does it work the same way for the inspection rate? Does the mileage roll into that as well?
Yep, that's
what you're referring to?
That's what it's for, yeah, who it's for.
All right, thank you.
Can I just bring one thing to, when I was reading through the documentation, you really do 15 to 20 inspections a day. Like when you take that, you did 5,000 inspections during the last year between you and Bob and...
Well, yeah, and that's the inspectors do...
inspectors?
Yeah, that includes all the inspectors. Bob, myself, we do a lot of inspections.
Is he?
Yeah, yeah.
I just wanted to highlight, that's a lot of work. So.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Great. We're not going to vote them tonight. We're going to vote them once we get them all in, but,
Want to do a ZBA?
yeah, we're doing ZBA next, which is 170.
That's Neil, too.
That's not wrong. So 176 is ZBA. Neil, anything from that board that's, obviously, they're probably one of the
It's
busiest
pretty
boards.
straightforward. It's mostly, their budget's mostly personnel. They have a very small budget. And, I think their biggest challenge this year is the proposed 40B, which they haven't applied yet, but when they do...
Are you talking about the one in 3A?
Yeah, the one on 3A. That just, they can get contentious, there's just a lot of meetings, a lot of audience participation, and, just
What's the biggest...
They're complicated projects, too. There's a lot of things that have to be looked at, by the board, and from the infrastructure to the buildings to the, traffic flow, things like that, so.
Right, well, it's potentially 250, 40 units, so it's a big development. Great, any questions on this? It's, last year was 22, this year is 22.
I did, just a quick question. So the purchase of services, why is that going to be so much, why would that be so much less than like FY15 and the FY16 appropriation?
Is that, I think that may have been because the former secretary, her current secretary is being paid out of her salary, which was higher.
And the postage is no longer there.
Oh, postage, that's probably the difference, postage. Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
No?
Great.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Neil.
Thank you.
Thank you, Neil.
Yep, have a good night.
Hey, take care of that little Pats fan.
Yeah, go Pats.
No, I said, take care of that little Pats fan.
Yeah, I know,
He's
I
watching
saw
with
that.
you.
All right.
Great. Next department is IT. Bill, it's number 155 for everyone up here. How you doing, Bill?
Doing well, how are you?
Doing well. So, because your department is very dynamic and it's always changing, why don't you tell us a little bit about a couple of the big things that happened last year and a couple of the big things that you're aiming for this year?
Okay. We're always, we're always improving the infrastructure, trying to find better economies of scale, trying to introduce new technology that saves time and money, and we definitely expanded our mobile computing footprint significantly last year. I believe, I want to say we have somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 mobile devices now that managed, all consolidated in one account. That's an example of economies of scale. So we have a shared pool of minutes, one carrier, dedicated account management. Working with our account manager 2 weeks ago, we managed to look at our usage overall on the account and reduced our minutes, saving over $1,000 over the course of the year for just that one account. So kind of things like that I'm always looking at. Started the second phase of implementing our permitting system, trying to get the planning department on next, and started the conversation with the chief fire department to potentially leverage that same application for burn permits as well. Those will be things that we'll be working on as the current fiscal year closes out. So for next fiscal year, I've been here almost 5 years now, which means that the infrastructure that I put in is about 5 years old too, which is 2 years older than it should be and still be in service. But we try and, squeeze as much as we can out of every dollar. So the upcoming fiscal year, one of the biggest projects will be upgrading the whole core infrastructure so that it's resilient and we can actually institute recovery time objectives, recovery point objectives. So it's all well and good. I can certainly fix something when it breaks. It's just a matter of how much time is it going to be down. So that's your recovery time objective. And at what point can I recover it to? Recovery point objective. So I want to get more aggressive with those. And by upgrading the core infrastructure, which supports the police department, fire department, all the offices of the town, really, we can do that.
Is that a problem right now? Do we have times where we're down and we're losing information and...
It's been a struggle the last few months. Most every system that could go down has gone down. Thankfully, I was able to get them all back up and running. Many of the systems that we have maintenance on them, but again, I have to call it in, I have to open up a ticket, we're down, I have to wait till the next business day for them to respond to the ticket. And the new systems that I was just speaking of, if one of them fails, it rolls over to the backup one, and then I call. So we're running while I take care of the systems that are down. Both of them fail. There's a third one that fails off to off-site. We lose our internet connection here. We can fail over to the new public safety building. So that it's part of a larger plan. We can't have the police department's databases down. We can't have email down. We can't have anything down. And in addition to that, by implementing these new systems, we'll be able to save significantly on our hosting costs for our new financial application. Significant savings. I believe the return on investment on that is less than a year.
Well, and what about the Wi-Fi in the harbor? You did that last year also, right?
Was that last year? I guess it was. Yeah, the Wi-Fi in the harbor is going well. I don't have any statistics for you. There's one site that we've had trouble with, but for the most part, I've heard really positive feedback about it. Some of the assistant harbor master, Mike Bierce, actually, I never went out on a boat. I had to sell mine and family. So no boating for me, but I'm told that he can get almost all the way to the mouth of the breakwater and get signal. So.
That's great. Good, so what changes are in store for this year?
Well, other than the core infrastructure, we're looking at potentially, we're looking at upgrading the phone system at Town Hall to and standardizing on a phone system throughout town so that we can have administratively one system, one skill set to administer that system. In addition to that, we can take advantage of more aggressive pricing on internet-based phone services. It's called SIP trunking. It ends up being around 75% savings over the course of a year on our toll calling. And new personnel, too.
So tell us about that.
Yeah. So we're looking to going to hire an IT analyst to handle level 1, level 2 calls, so I can focus more on project-based and bigger picture items, and really, instead of taking these long cycles to fully implement a technology solution, do it in a shorter cycle, and not really, like, right now, I feel like I'm maybe like a mile wide and an inch deep, so I can really get in depth with some of these applications that we're implementing.
Right? And that's in your budget, a new
Yes.
specialist,
Is it full-time or part-time?
full-time. Yeah.
Can you just define level 1 and level 2 for me?
My printer doesn't work.
Yeah. Level 1, break, fix, being able to field the calls in a timely manner. And typically what a level 1, level 2 person will do is they'll work the problem to the end of their skill set and then hand it off to me in that case. So then, that's typically 90% of the problems are level 1.
So you're looking like a typical corporate help desk analyst type
Yes.
level of employee?
And that also gives us some business continuity if I have to be out of the office for vacation or anything like that, and you have, and so it goes on. And, Marshfield just went through this next door when their IT department just walked out the door. Opportunities, and they're stuck with no one, so this allows, a little business continuity within the IT department, which is necessary.
And this is just for the town side computers. It's not the school stuff, although Munis is an overlap.
Right, Munis is going to be is a shared financial application by the school and the town, and in fact, we just started the conversation today with them for the implementation of that, and the architecture requires, the architecture requires us to be a little bit more connected going forward, so that adds another level of complexity.
Great.
So the school shares the entire finance, that Munis, the school's entirely on that as well. And since Nancy and Bill are directly responsible for that, so the school gets that benefit.
Great. So last year, the appropriation was $260,000, and it's increasing to $350,000.
That's right.
And that includes the new personnel, and then these list of initiatives here, which are all the upgrades that you were talking about, antivirus. I guess these are just the maintenance agreements on all the...
Yep, that's our existing kind of fixed costs, primarily. There's a little bump in there for Munis support. We do dial down our customized data solutions number, and ultimately that will go away. Phone system in there under equipment, but the core systems upgrade are actually a capital item, so they won't be on this.
So, this may be a Nancy question. So on this, so there's $250,000 worth of maintenance type stuff. What was it last year?
Last year,
Last year was $137,000.
137, so it's going up $120,000.
No, the actual recommended amount is 153. So we were able to pare that back, so it's going up about $16,000. We did change the Munis platform, we went to, rather than a SaaS platform, we went to a premise platform. So all the detail that's listed there, some of that we were able to knock out and reduce.
so by investing in the core infrastructure that I spoke about earlier, that number was reduced to that number.
It went down from 256 to 156 to 150?
I think that's 15. Did this print out properly? The 256, is that under what we spent in 15 with like the first investment?
It was all the detail that was originally proposed for technical services, and working with Bill and changing our Munis platform, we were able to bring that down to what the recommended amount is, what we agreed.
But it's not in,
Yeah, so you have the full detail of everything that was originally proposed. Except for the
15's here, and then you got it over here.
right, but we don't see what was cut out. We just see the 256 in ours.
It's all blank.
And it went down to 150 something, you said?
153, that final column.
Up top.
No.
that detail for you that I can leave with you of where all this changed.
Great. Well, it's a big increase, but it's,
Is our largest investment?
Yeah, it's my number one priority in this budget. I mean, and I think I said it in the budget message, if we can't keep up with technology from a business standpoint, we're dead in the water. And then the other thing is these viruses and constant attempts to break into our firewalls. Bill has to be constantly vigilant, and like Kevin Kelly a few years ago, he was spending so much time crawling under desks and fixing outlets that he couldn't do the more important long-term planning that Bill really needs to do. I did a survey, it says in the backup, of staffing in other towns and stuff, so it's a lot of money, there's no question, but I've sacrificed other increases in budgets because this needs to be our priority, especially with the core infrastructure. We've been down a tremendous amount, and that's because the equipment's a little old, and also we have to ensure that we have redundancy. So he's timed some of these increases, as he mentioned, for the public safety building as well, so. And he also was the go-to person for Marshfield when their IT department evaporated. So he's helped them a lot, even though he's working lots of hours for us.
great. Any questions for Bill?
Definitely needs some help. There's no doubt about it.
Well, we've come so far from where we were 5 years ago, where we had Scotch tape and, you know, you don't go in that room, keep the air conditioner cranked type stuff. So, but it costs money.
It does.
And like the sewer plant, our entire server was in a room here. Bill has relocated, with Kevin's help, our entire server is in the basement now, and Bill is in the basement. So if you have a chance, you should go look at that infrastructure.
On the field trip, Tony?
Yeah? Great.
Downstairs, definitely.
All right, Bill, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're going to vote it all
Thanks.
at the end. Next department is fire, which is 220. Chief, how are you?
Great, how are you?
Good.
Sean?
How are you,
Chief?
Can I sleep today?
Tonight, sleep good tonight.
Bet you will.
Yeah, sorry about your tough night last night.
Yeah, tough night. Tough night, sad situation, but everybody worked very hard, very labor-intensive fire. But fortunately, none of our firefighters were hurt. It was a very icy condition, challenging condition. So overall, I think they did a great job, and you know, unfortunate for the family that what happened, but they worked hard.
Great. Good, so now we'll move on to your budget.
Sure.
If you want to, again, just, what are you trying to get through this year, other than moving your operations into a...
Yeah, so there's a lot going on. I have a few things just to bring up. I'll try to go on some of the new stuff. Our SAFE program, where we go out to see the children in the schools, the children in fire prevention. We started a new SAFE program for the seniors that's supported by the state. Basically, right now, that the seniors are most vulnerable to fires, so we got to go out and educate them, try to assist them in fire education, but also as a program, we teamed up with the Red Cross to install smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors free of charge. So we assist going out there. The Red Cross actually pays for them, and we go out there and with them and make sure the locations are correct, and those are installed for the seniors, so they sign up as needed. We do a free inspection for them, go out there and say, this is what you need. We get the equipment, we install it, so it makes them, their home safer for them. And there's a lot of homes out there that still need that help. So a lot of the stuff is antiquated, 20 years old. Another recommendation is to change over every 10 years to ensure that they're going to work when you need them. So,
Great.
that's one a new program. As far as grants, we were able to obtain over $209,000 in grants last year. The largest one was an AFG grant, Assistant to Firefighters grant for $160,000, and an additional $5,000 for portable radios. We upgraded our VHF system. The UHF, which was a long time coming, it's and we're just working out the final kinks, but it's pretty much running right now. And the one gap we had, the portable radios, were all VHF. We had a few portable UHF radios from mutual aid, so we upgraded them. They're all P25 compliant, digital capable. The whole system originally was going to be digital capable. Now we're actually digital ready. We work with the company Allcom when they were doing all the installation. We want to make sure we were ready for the digital age, and also the police to make sure that we had enough room for them to tie into all of our equipment, our infrastructure up on the towers and whatever. So, and they probably will go digital before we will, just what the police does and the fire does. But so that system right now is better than we thought it would be, and that's basically done. We just got a few kinks we're working out to from the transition from VHF to UHF. So that's it's been a lot of work, and Captain Donovan has been doing a lot of work on our behalf to oversee that. He's our radio guy. And another one, just a couple more, Engine 3 and Engine 4. We've licensed them as Class 5 ambulances. We have paramedics now. A lot of paramedics, when they're not in the ambulance, are on our engines. So unless you classify that as an ambulance, you can't carry the ALS equipment on there. So now we have the skills, the personnel, so now we license those Engine 3 and Engine 4 as an ambulance, and we have Car 3-2 out of District 1. So all 3 stations now have a Class 5 ambulance. So if our ambulances are out of town, 25-minute response times each way, it's a long duration. We have the ability to intervene and start IVs, start medications, and get the public the best treatment they can while we're waiting for a mutual aid ambulance, which takes time. So that's a big improvement to our service to the town, and to utilize, we have the skills, we have the manpower, we want to make sure we have the tools for them. And I'm just going to touch a little bit about, you mentioned, Neil, about FEMA. We've been working on with them now for some time, especially in all 3 storms, the Sandy, Nemo, and Juno. And the coastal is the biggest impact. We have pending $13.5 million right now that we had submittals for FEMA, and ongoing emails, ongoing conference calls, ongoing meetings and site visits and all that. So I got to give Dan Smith a lot of credit. He's been very, very instrumental in the coastal aspect of that, and Nancy Holt and Deputy Elliott also on the general FEMA stuff, for especially for last winter's storms. You know, without their help, it wouldn't get done. So I want to thank them. But right now, $13.5 million. The good news is I think they've accepted all of we've gone back and forth. What's eligible, what's not, what storm, rounded rocks, not rounded rocks for protection for our jetties. So they've accepted, I believe, we're putting in $13.5 million. That's what we're going to try to establish their PWs, our project worksheets, and then they move those forward to the higher-ups for hopeful approval. So there's a good chance, we may not get $13.5 million or 75% of that, but, I think we're going to get closer to what we're asking for than not. So that's a lot of work. It's been a lot of time, almost three years and 3 months since Sandy. So that's going to segue into a little bit of your next request as far as what are we doing to make things better for the coming year. I'll just swing into, if you don't mind, is that okay?
Yep.
Okay. So one of the goals this year is to improve the process of storm reimbursement from FEMA. There's several things we're doing. We just established some forms. A lot of the different departments weren't sure, what do we need for information when we do get a reimbursable storm, a claim storm? What information do we have to have from the start? Instead of going back to log books and try to interpolate and try to figure things and put them together, we've established forms that basically say, for a plow driver, your name, your time in, your time out, what location you were, and identify the vehicle you were driving. And this is all information you need. In the end, there's a few other components to that, but basically have that for the DPW for Mike Breen's personnel, and then coastal stuff, and then we have fire, we have police, we have one for the water and sewer department. And a lot of it's the same, but there's a few different tweaks in each one, but to make sure we have that information up front, we'll give them out prior to a storm. I went over with Kevin Cafferty on some of the forms I made up for DPW, and they're 80%, 85% of all these claims are DPW. So he seemed happy with that, and to make sure there was nothing that we were missing, to make sure we get that information up front. We're clear on it, and that's the expectations that we have of them to provide that information. So when FEMA comes down, it's a lot smoother transaction instead of us going back and trying to find all this information, digging through paperwork, books, receipts, whatever it is. Not to say some of that still doesn't have to be done, but we can eliminate a lot of that time and effort. The other, we also, you might have seen or heard about the drone we used, working with FEMA, actually MEMA mostly, and a lot of the education programs they have. I think they've done a great job in the last few years to try to really get down to the local level to try to make sure we're trained what we need. Obviously, these storms have triggered that, and they know Situate's sort of in ground zero for this. Several things. The drone, I asked about a grant, that the drone was available for the grant program. And I was told no when they were asking why, and basically to try to look back so we don't have to go back 3.5 years to find out what damage was done. We had a whole evaluation of our entire coastline done. Seawalls, jetties, stone revetments, whatever it is, we got pictures of the whole coastline established, and this gentleman's a photographer that has a drone. He's trying to get into this business, so of seeing if anything MEMA need. So after I had the conversation with MEMA, but ironically 2 weeks later, he asked, hey, you know anybody that needs this? So we contacted each other, explained what we were looking for, and he's doing this free of charge because we're sort of his template. We're going to a trial period. And what I've seen so far, I think is very impressive. So now if we have a storm, we have a before storm and after storm. It's basically here it is before and here it is after. Should expedite the process of them doing the evaluation, what's damaged before and what's not. Because that's part of the reason we're still 3 years and 15 months out, 3 months out. Did it happen in Sandy? Did it happen in Nemo? Back then, Sandy and Nemo, Sandy had all the damage down in New York and New Jersey. All the resources went there. We got Nemo. They came up here. They had no baseline. They couldn't figure out what went back and forth. So about a year ago, when we came up, we had a sort of a plan agreed upon by FEMA. Different personnel came in. You can't do that. You had to start over. So a lot of work. So this picture's worth 1,000 words. Should establish a baseline for us. If we have to get this done again after and get charged for it, it's reimbursable as part of our process to try to get the reimbursement and establish our baseline for what our damage is. So I think the drone's going to be a great opportunity. There are, some towns do have them. You need FCC licenses to do this. This guy's a photographer by trade, so I think it's going to work out well. Time will tell about the next storm. I think we might skirt this one Saturday, but we're prepared if we need to have that, as well as the forms, and to educate the department heads on what we need for information. As far as any questions on that, as far as FEMA stuff?
No, that's great. I saw that in the paper. It was
yeah,
really bright idea.
And when I get the final pictures, the final spreadsheet, he has all the pictures in the format. I'll send it to the town administrator to share with you, and I think it's going to be a great tool for us.
John, I just want to share with you and the board, we have Representative Cantwell in here on Tuesday, and one of the issues we brought up to him and Representative Bradley's staff member Gigi Marachi was to petition Warren and Senator Markey to FEMA to try to address all that outstanding, money that we've applied for. So,
and we have done that. The town administrator, she contacted, Senator Warren contacted Patricia and asked, how can we help? And she said exactly that. So Senator Warren's office reached out to us, and basically, I called up MEMA and said, the senator wants to know why we're not getting our money right now. So we're meeting next week. We'll be out next week. So that has helped. That has expedited. So, I mean, and we do reach out when I've talked to, gone to these meetings, and I try to make them all and try to get these trainings, that we need the help for these storms prior to the storm. We don't need a National Guard truck showing up the next day at 2 o'clock when the storm's over. So the resources are needed ahead of time, and they're listening, and they're saying, that makes a lot of sense, and this, plus you're putting their guys in harm's way, the personnel in harm's way, driving through these storms, trying to get to Situate from wherever they are. So that's another outcry that I think we've established that need, and I think MEMA's listening that, it makes sense to have the National Guard out ahead of time, and some other programs like that to make sure we're ready for the storms, prepared, and to minimize the risk and get all the help we need. Do you want me to go with another goal, or?
Yeah, quick, I mean, if there are a couple that you just want to rattle off.
Sure. The biggest, so the day shift paramedic, we talked about the second ambulance, trying to get that implemented for some time now, and it's finally going to happen, hopefully February 1st. So we've agreed with the union, we've agreed on daytime paramedics, those shifts, 10-hour shifts during the day. We're going to hire 2 paramedics to cover 7 10-hour days on a rotating basis. And we've hired them to, unfortunately, they were transfers, so they don't need to go to the fire academy, which saves 3 additional months of training. They've been, one's been academy trained, the other one's got 5 years full-time, 7 years call-time experience, and through their contacts, we've contacted, they're very proficient at firefighting. They've been paramedics for 2.5 years for one and 4 years for the other. So this will start February 1st. We're just, going through our guidelines that we want to establish, hiring guidelines for this, and just day-to-day guidelines. We have a pretty good program, I think, that's going to work for us, how to run these in districts and who's going to go first and who's going to go where. So we're just going to try to finalize that. So starting February 1st, we'll be running 2 full-time staffed ambulances. There might be some kinks along the way, we'll figure it out. But for right now, that's the plan. And I've also reached out to my EMS coordinator to see if we can get a, if the 3 towns there that we share with the other towns that we use primarily as a backup, that if we can get a paramedic basic waiver, because we have about 5 paramedics per shift. If the 4 paramedics are going to the hospital, can we maybe use an EMT and a paramedic, if we have them there, for the 3rd ambulance if necessary, to capture that additional service to the town and not rely so much on mutual aid. I think it was 325 runs of mutual aid last year out of about 1,941 EMS runs. So I think there's a big gap there, and we can capture some of that service, make it better for our citizens, and there's also a financial component to that.
Great.
So the second ambulance is knocking on the door.
So looking into the numbers, how many new firefighters are in your budget this year? Is there 6?
Well, we have the established for 46 positions, what we've had. So we actually adding, the only things we're adding, we've hired some new from retirees, but we've actually added to the 2 daytime personnel. So we have, and they're going to be working days. So there's 2 new personnel added to the budget. Most of the other increase in the budget is due to the CBA being agreed upon, and the increase in the overtime and whatever it is for the ongoing. So that's the biggest gap, that's the biggest increase in our budgets, but it's really due to the contract agreement and the 2 new personnel.
So the overtime, you mentioned that, is that in the contract agreement, or is that just an estimated?
So the 2 new day shift paramedics, about $100,000 all in. And then because the fire contract went to arbitration, it's actually a contract that's retroactively paid for 3 years now. And so the retro pyramids on the overtime rate, that pyramids. So you're seeing all those increases reflected in the FY17, and there's also 2 wage increases in FY17. Did I say that right, Nancy?
You did.
Okay.
And there was a little extra added because of the vacation in 1 year.
Right, that's an important point. As you know, the other unions, we changed the accrual method from in arrears to a monthly accrual going forward, so we can also automate payroll. That was something that we went to arbitration with the fire and got awarded for us to be able to do it with them, so we can finally implement. But with all the other unions, to go from an arrears to a monthly accrual, we have a hold harmless year where you have all your vacation dumped and then you have a year to use it, but you're still accruing new. So there's almost like a double load of vacation in that transition year. So that's a specific one-time increase in the FY17 that you're seeing.
But that would be in regular salaries, not in OT.
And
Oh, no, there's
overtime.
over.
Yeah.
Overtime as well.
Or is that holiday?
Change their salary.
Right.
Would affect overtime, because you have to cover those shifts.
Right, that's the problem, was when people have extra time off.
So we're not expecting overtime to go up 12%. We're expecting the overtime increases from all these retroactive things.
Right.
And the one time for that, and plus the pyramid, that totals
So Chief and Nancy are going to track weekly the impact of the day shift paramedics because, we contend that, the overtime should be somewhat minimized over time because we have 2 extra personnel, reducing the need for callbacks.
Right.
But this is a sort of aberration year with a lot of different things that you shouldn't see in FY18.
Okay. The other thing to note is that the fuels, so there's $47,000 out of this budget that's now in, and you sent me that.
Facilities. Yep. Yeah, Nancy put together the detail. Yeah.
Yeah. So overall, the budget's going up 7.5%, and you think that a good portion of that is because of the anomalies of this year?
We believe so, and, a lot of the other challenges are management. You can't predict injured on duty, tightening up sick leave to be more in line with other departmental usage, but Chief's, knows what to do, and he's made a lot of good inroads.
Great.
Fiscal 16 budget was on fiscal 13
Yeah.
contractual rates, so the fiscal 17 is now on fiscal 17 contractual rates,
Good point.
making up in 1 year, 4 years.
Right. Any questions? So just gross numbers are $4.583 million in last year, and then $4.881 this year. So this is our largest town budget, except for the school. No, is it? What about pension? It's about the same.
In a non-fixed cost way, yes.
Yeah. Great, but it's a great service.
$900,000 in ambulance revenue that comes back to, it's some inspectional money, but, obviously that goes to the general budget.
Right, so about $1 million of revenue from ambulance and stuff like that.
Getting close to that.
Good point. Right. Well, you guys do a great job, I know firsthand, so.
Thank you.
It's worth it. Great. Any other comments?
No.
Chief, thanks for coming in.
You're welcome. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Yeah, guys, go get some sleep.
All right, the next budget is the finance director and the town accountant.
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
And those are number 135.
My lucky number, or so I say.
Play your Powerball.
That cut your budget?
Okay, so what are you going to do this year?
Okay, so in the current year, we're working on all types of things. One of the major ones is the new financial management system. We've awarded a contract. The board was very supportive of that, and I very much appreciate that, as does everyone else who interacts with that system. And we'll be implementing that over the next 18 months. And that was one of the goals for last year, to research it and get the RFP out, and this year to start the implementation. And it'll continue into fiscal 17 as we fully implement the system. For fiscal 15, we actually had our town's first CAFRA, the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, which is available on the Finance Department's website. And it's a very nice, easier to read version of what's going on with the town finances, if you like 135 pages, but there's some good historical statistical data at the back that a lot of people like. If you like tidbits, that's in there, and very interesting discussion, management discussion, as well as discussion of the high points of the year from a financial perspective in the front, and the town did win an award for that, and we have finished our fiscal 15 CAFRA. That's also on the website. The board has not received their hard copies because they haven't come yet. But they're coming, and then you'll have a little light reading to look forward to. As several other departments have told you, it's been an interesting year with a few extra things. FEMA, it touches everyone, whether it be the maps or whether it be from the storms, the reimbursements. I think the fire chief mentioned it about the different forms. Things change. The inane things that you have to come up with. So not only do you need to know the 48-hour period that the snow fell that you can get reimbursed for, but you have to provide time cards showing the people were active in the 48-hour period, and you have to show when they started, when they ended, which is usually overnight on a weekend, because this never happens during the day when it's regular time. But they need to know what truck number, what type of truck, what's the horsepower, what's the model, what's the make, what's the year, and if you go into a loader, well, that's just a whole nother fun thing, like what's the cubic yards of the bucket, what's the torque. Things I never wanted to know about equipment, I now know, and it's stuck up there, and something very useful is now gone because I have loader data up there. So if you ask me a question, I look blank, ask me a loader question, it'll come rolling off the tongue. So when they say that, the type of stuff, it's just a lot of paperwork, and you do it over and over and over again. Happily, we have over $700,000 worth of expenditures that went out the door during the storm costs last year that we have submitted to FEMA with backup documentation. It doesn't stop them from saying, can you provide a copy of a canceled check, a purchase order, or contract, as it goes up the food chain, because we submit it to our little person, our person then submits to his supervisor, and then they say, okay, that's good. They'll give you a Form 9091, and you think, I'm golden, I've got this form, it's been signed by the federal government, it's been signed by us, we all agree, and then it goes up further on the food chain and has to get obligated. And then if you get to there, then it's going to come back down to the state, to MEMA, who then has to have you sign a contract, then you have to wait for your money. So it's a lovely little round-robin chain. So far, we've seen $100,000 for Juno, which, as you know, since the last time I was here, I reported $7,000 for NEMO, which was 3 years ago. This is great. We're happy. We got $100,000. We got it within a year. So that's a plus. We're still hoping to get more. But the only thing that we've received so far is that $100,000, and that was for the 48-hour snow removal costs. So the overtime for the people, the equipment costs, and the contractors. So it's something. But as Maura knows, we have a lot more out there, plus all the infrastructure costs, which we haven't incurred yet, which we've just got estimates to do the repairs that we're just waiting for them to even get to the point of giving us a form and agreeing on a dollar amount. So that's just a little side thing you do in your spare time. It's not a normal thing that happens all the time. You could have no storms, you could have a lot of storms. Unfortunately, we seem to be in a cycle of a lot of storms, but maybe we'll have more luck based on what's happening with the current storm that's coming, which I think now is maybe skirting us, which would be nice.
Hope, keep our fingers crossed.
Just need a Cuba Gooding sign that says, show me the money.
And as we do this implementation of the new financial management system, we're going to take this opportunity to look for internal controls that need to be strengthened, whether it be in the payroll or personnel processes. We hired our first human resources director. He's a great addition to the professional staff. He's been very useful for recruitment, for filling some of the open positions, but just going through and looking at the procedures we have in place and saying, okay, you need to tighten this up, you need to fix this, and how can we address that in the new payroll system, which will be automated, and say, okay, this is how we do everything online, so there's no more of this manual redundant system, there's no more of these things that could potentially lead to fraud or not being monitored closely. So that gives us a big opportunity to address some of these things.
Great. And your favorite part, the numbers?
The numbers. Happily, the technical services, which is the largest section of my budget besides salaries, is going to go down. Last year, I requested $60,000. This year, I reduced that request to $48,000, and the majority of that is because we do not need to have our OPEB actuarial review for fiscal 17. It will be back for fiscal 18. It has to be done every 2 years, so there's no reason to appropriate that extra $10,000 if we're not going to use it.
Is that, what's in the accounting, the audit?
This is the audit, the $48,000, and our audit contract is up, and I'm in the midst of negotiations with them to try to get that number down.
Who does it?
Powers and Sullivan out of Wakefield.
Great. So
And
last year appropriation was $349, this year's $344. You got the new personnel last year for the HR?
Yes, thank you.
That's it. Any questions from the board? No. Great. Nancy, thank you very much. You do a great job.
Thank you, everyone.
Next one is administration, town administrator, and the selectmen, 122, 123. So, where the heck?
Is it 122 or just 123? Just 123.
Yeah. Tricia, anything you want to comment on this?
As far as the goals go, I think they're pretty familiar to the board, some carryovers, and we talked to them about them at the retreat when I proposed. We've already made some progress on some. Obviously, the building projects are going to dominate. We're still working on making sure we can bring all these buildings online and afford them over time and not go backwards. The one unique thing I think that's new is we are a cultural, Situate Harbor is a cultural council district, and as part of that application, the town had to show a commitment to supporting that application, and that manifested itself in me chairing the committee for 2 years. So we have our first meeting February something. First week in February. And so that's something that's new for us, and we'll be concentrating on. The signs have already been made. They're in my office if you want to see them. And we're working, Economic Development Commission is working on that, along with the branding, so that'll all be tied into the Cultural Council stuff. So that's really the main stuff for the goals. The other thing, just in terms of town operations in our offices, is Lorraine's been here just over a year, and Michelle 2 years, but with Sheila's retirement and Michelle in a new capacity, and somebody just succeeding Michelle, Karen Sugar, 2 weeks ago, you know, we have a relatively new staff, and that's not been the case in the selectmen or the town administrator's office for 20 years. So they're fabulous, they're hard workers, they have great customer service skills, but it's still a learning curve. So we have to make sure, you know, I carve out that time to spend time with them to go over the budget and calendar cycle. So it's not a terrible thing. They're both extremely capable, but it's still, you know, Lorraine's got it pretty well now, but still a couple of things come up, and, you know, and Michelle's in a new role as well, and they're training Karen. So those are the big things.
I still need to Kim sometimes.
Yeah. I think Michelle has Sheila on speed dial, so that's great. So, and then you have your goals, and Lorraine has goals here included for the first time in terms of improving your own office efficiencies, and, you know, just, we're trying to automate, put things in databases. Lorraine's particularly skilled at that, trying to do the licensing, the appointments, that are shareable files between other departments as well, so.
In terms of the numbers, can you go into, I mean, everything's pretty much the same. I mean, the pay increases of the employees are a chunk of it. The support staff went up, almost doubled, in training from 24 to 44.
So the training is a consolidated budget, so we swept that from all the other town departments.
Okay.
And that's
So this
always
is-
been a line item. I also had an appropriation. We have lowered labor council significantly.
So let's, on that.
Sorry.
So what is the consolidation, if you looked at all the individual departments, is it the same, was it 44?
Was it about the same total?
For the training?
Yeah.
It's about the same.
Yeah.
So that's one
Yeah.
consolidation sheet. Hold on, I'll find it.
It's going to be about 20, 21, I think.
Do you want, I'll find it for you, William.
Yeah, that's fine. So, yeah, if you can just go over the legal components, there's three buckets.
Legal, we also swept. Legal is typically any RFPs that we do. ZBA has to post hearings, notification of abutters. We swept that, but also reduced it because in the governor's municipal modernization bill, he's taking almost all of that away and is going to allow us to just post it electronically on our website. So that is I don't know if the newspaper will like that, but that's a huge pickup for us in terms of time, separating just, we'll get classified bills from the ledger, and there'll be 7 different ones, and we'll have to make sure we know which department and then pay and everything. That potentially can all be alleviated. So we swept all the legal advertising, knowing that's been proposed, and also think we can have a pickup because we'll save some money.
When does that go active?
Well, it'll be working its way through the legislature, so,
Okay.
yeah. So
So-
potentially that will be in place for FY17.
In the training budget, the recommended amount for all the different departments was $68,935, and the amount that's in the consolidated line is $68,700.
What was last year?
Last year was $74,372.
Okay. So legal services, on one line, it's legal services, it was 56 last year to 50. Is that the just general counsel?
It is. That's Jim Toomey.
And then there's litigation,
That's
which was 80 to 60, and that's whoever
It's
it
a
happens.
function of lawsuits against the town. It has been something that we've minimized the litigation in the last few years, although I think right now we probably have more pending than we had in a few years. Nothing serious, but that's what that line item is for.
Right. And then town,
What's the difference between legal services and town council?
Yeah, it says.
Which line
Legal
item?
services is town council.
it is.
Yeah.
Well, there's,
Labor council's in contract.
So legal...
Those two added together.
Right, so legal services is town council, litigation is specifically for lawsuits, we have special counsel for some things, and so that's that line item.
So
and so on.
contract bargaining,
Contract bargaining, and what the rest of that says is contract bargaining and other services. So that line item pays for labor counsel, not only for contract bargaining, all the contracts are up in FY17. It does grievances, unfair labor practices, non-union step increases, unexpected employee separations,
So that's
employee
Clifford?
pays out. That's all in that whole line item.
so $208,000 last year?
Absolutely, yeah. That was appropriated, but
Right.
as you see, we've reduced that by 74,000 this year, 75. But when
Well, it
we're
must have been
yeah.
208 the year before.
Yeah, well, the merit increases for the staff come out of that, so that's the catch-all for all that.
Well, it looks like you only expended about 26 out of the FY16 budget.
Yeah, so that's why we reduced the budget. But again, we're bargaining all those contracts in FY17 too, but I think even with the reduction,
So all the merit increases come out of this as well?
anything related to anything with unions or pay separations, if we run contract adjustments, reclassifications, it all comes out of that.
Okay, good to see that go down. Great, so in totality, it was 725 last year, it's 650 this year. The majority of that, as John pointed out, is the reduction in the contract bargaining and the other legal services. Any questions from anyone? No?
No.
Great. Thank you very much. And now administration, which is 149.
So 149 is the telephone system bill that we pay out of that. We pay random drug testing, physicals for new employees, and then it also pays for what I'll call personnel that don't have another home. So the fax coordinator salary, even though that's a grant, it's a pass-through, so we have to show it in the budget. And there's 2 staff there now, Anne Marie and Barbara Quinlan, who's her support staff. Lindsay DeSimone, who is the clerk for the Public Building Commission. She's also for Waterways and Advisory, but those costs are reflected in those budgets. Our Facebook person's a new line item here, Dave Giuliano to do our Facebook, and Al is there. So there's sort of no man's land personnel.
And there's training in here as well? What is that? Is that,
There's always been training in both 149 and 123, both under the control of the town administrator. And it was actually reduced slightly. So this didn't seem to make sense to completely consolidate it into 123, where there was a line existing here as well, and it was still under the town administrator's control.
That's the difference.
so did you, when I asked for the difference, did you include this in?
It is, it's part of the
The 70.
consolidation, it is.
It's in both.
Part of the $16,000 number.
And technical services is that copy machines and stuff?
Yep. We're using our Facebook guide 10 hours a week.
Up to 10 hours a week. You know, some weeks it's just there, some weeks it's what's happening.
What's he doing for you again?
He updates our Facebook page with any changes and he schedules things to be posted, he responds to.
Does he get paid by the hours that he works, or does he get paid?
He only gets paid for the hours that he works. He submits his hours each week.
So that's just an estimate.
Yeah.
It's great. Any questions?
No.
Awesome. And lastly, insurance, 192. Lastly for
Want to
tonight.
do this one, please?
Okay, so 192 is our general liability insurance, property insurance. As was discussed in the financial forecast meeting, that Chairman Bignani participated in, there is a 10% increase proposed for fiscal 17, and that's due to several things. One, in fiscal 15, we had a valuation adjustment, so they raised all the values of the town's property up to 100%, so that increased our premium slightly. We had to add the WTA building on as we took that over. And we also have new buildings coming online, as well as still having the existing buildings there. So we expect that that will be some kind of a small pickup as well. And we had a lot of claims last year. Expecting that claim history will affect us negatively as we go towards fiscal 17. And with those types of claims, we also, this budget pays our deductibles. So it's any type of a building claim, such as the highway fire, steam pipe at Gates, the frozen pipe at Jenkins, it's $5,000 per incident. So this budget sees all of that. And currently, for fiscal 16, the $489,000 that's appropriated, we have $6,000 left. And we do prepay our premiums at the beginning of the year to take advantage of discounts.
So it's going up $50,000.
Yes, we hope it won't go up that much, but realistically, that's what we expect it to go up.
We'll know within the next month. They actually meet tomorrow, the Maya board. It's part of the MMA conference that they meet beforehand.
So are any of the new buildings on it?
Not yet.
No, so what's going to happen is we're going to have to plan for increases just even if we have a good claims experience, because the value of the buildings is going to increase and the personal property inside them is we have to insure as well. We also right now have builder's risk insurance on all these buildings, which we're required to carry while they're under construction. So,
So that'll go down, but then the property will go up.
but it's really important to make sure your values are reviewed on your property. A lot of towns sort of don't do that on a regular basis and undervalue, and then if a loss, as far as replacement cost of a building can fall short. So we review those closely every single year, but we're adding hundreds and hundreds of thousands of square feet, so, and new buildings, so the values are just going to go up for coverages
Are you talking the new buildings we have to have the builder's risk?
during construction.
So, that's odd, really? So it's hours right away before it's completed, not before acceptance?
During the construction period.
Why, can I ask, in case of a fire damage or something like that?
That's really
All the
strange.
contractors must have to provide
You have
insurance.
to, yeah, exactly.
So we have to bind it over as soon as the contractor comes on site.
That's weird.
Yep.
Sean?
Different than private.
Something to keep in mind has to do with the committee that was here earlier. We keep the Gates School vacant. What does that, insurance companies don't like to see vacant buildings.
The premium on a vacant building for insurance is unbelievable. So, but the fact of the matter is, that becomes our responsibility the day the kids start school in the new school, and it's 90,000 square feet, and we have to keep it heated because the gym is connected to it.
Right, that's aside, but, I just jokingly said, but we should hold some type of meetings there, so it's not vacant.
Technically, I don't know if you could, technically, could we get away, the gymnasium's going to be used? That's a part of it.
Is rec going to be there?
Well, I assume rec would use the gym.
Something to keep in mind.
The heating system is...
Yeah, the heating system's all connected to the, although we've
Sean can
looked
fix
at...
that in about 20 minutes.
We've looked in that, you can do it, we actually looked at that more. So the bigger issue is really the police station.
Well, that we can say goodbye to. Wow.
That's in the capital plan for FY18 for demolition, but, but you're right. I think there's some good use we can make out of Station 3 with little retrofitting, but, those are longer conversations to have in the future about the efficacy of using the police station or gates as is.
And that's what I was talking to Karen, that, those buildings have to be looked at.
Yeah, that's, the police station and station are part of their charge, but they're really focusing on gates right now, at least for this piece.
Yeah. Any questions on insurance? The budget estimates sound reasonable assumptions? Great. Thank you, guys. That's the last budget we're going to do tonight. Good preparation as always, Tricia and Nancy. Move on to new business, which is a discussion vote of a drain layers license.
Would you like a motion?
Please.
Move to approve the renewal of a drain layers license to Rock Excavating.
Second by?
Second.
Mr. Danahy, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is unanimous. The next item is a discussion vote of Situate license renewals. So this is Bonomi one, yep.
Yeah. Motion?
Marty, please.
Move that the Board of Selectmen vote to renew the septage license for Joseph P. Bonomi Contractor Incorporated for 2016.
Second.
Second by Mr. Danahy. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. The next one is a one-day liquor license.
For St. Luke's.
This is for St. Luke's, yep.
Move the Board of Selectmen approve a one-day wine and malt license to Ellen McKenzie Catering, Inc. for Saturday, February 6, 2016, from 7 p.m. till 10 p.m. at St. Luke's Episcopal Church.
Second.
Second by Mr. O'Toole. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. And
We do need this one, right, Lorraine, still?
Yes.
Okay.
so let's, just a quick explanation.
Yep.
Sand Hills General Store is waiting for the approval or the exchange from Seasonal Wines, who's getting the full liquor license, who's going to then turn in their beer and wine license, and then Sand Hills is going to get that. Right now, they have a seasonal license, which expires on the 15th?
Yes, it's already,
So it expired a couple days ago.
Right.
So what we've been doing in the interim is giving them a series of one-day licenses until the ABCC gets that transition.
paperwork back in.
Any idea on the timetable?
Well, I spoke to them today for an update for tonight, and they would not commit to a specific timetable. I've explained the urgency. And I'll continue to stay on.
Well, it's no impact on them as long as we keep doing this, but,
You can only give them 30.
excuse me?
Total's 30.
You can only give
This is
them a
gonna be
total
it
of
after
30.
this.
15.
We've already done, this is going to be it after this.
So it'll be the
I also
15th?
have a call into the executive.
All right. Okay, so we're doing it through February 14.
Which is within the 30 days. This is the last extension.
So I'm going to do two separate motions.
Okay?
Move to grant Sand Hills General Store a one-day beer and wine license from January 24, 2016 through February 14, 2016.
Second.
Second by Mr. Danahy. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous.
Move to waive the one-day beer and wine license fee of $50?
Yep.
For Sand Hills General Store.
Second.
Second by Mr. Harris. All, further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. Great, hopefully that'll happen quickly.
Yeah, we hope.
And correspondence? Is there a,
Give one letter.
yeah. Do you want to do it, or you want me? Sure.
We have one letter received directed to the board from the Conservation Commission indicating that they have reviewed the Situate Water Conservation Plan and they find it suitable, and Situate faces tremendous growth pressures in the years ahead, and ensuing a reliable supply of water for health, public safety, and economic growth, a critical element issue. So on January 13th, they approved the Water Resources Plan, which we have not heard yet.
Right. And that's
Signed by Frank Snow, the chairman of the Conservation Commission.
great, and we'll see that shortly and comment the board. Good, so that, I think that's it. Oh, no, the minutes, acceptance of the minutes?
Will the Board of Selectmen approve the minutes for January 6, 2016?
Second?
Second by Mr. Danny. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous, and
And finally, move to accept and not release executive session minutes for January 6, 2016, since the matters discussed are still pending at this time.
Second?
second by Mr. Danny, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous.
There's a little problem with that document. It's Mary O'Toole, not Marty O'Toole.
She runs your life everywhere.
No, but it's either Marty or Mary or...
It's intentional. Did I do those minutes?
Yes.
It's me. It's not Lorraine. I must have a block.
Boy.
It's fine.
Okay, so,
Sorry. I'll correct those minutes.
just bring them home and have her sign.
There you go.
Selectmen for a day.
Yeah. Any other,
Mary can sit there if she'd like.
any other
Exactly,
business?
she can have it.
Marty, anything to add?
No. No.
John?
No.
Maura?
What did you ask?
Do you have anything else to add?
Just quick.
Turn on the mic.
Yeah. Just quickly. Came from an Affordable Housing Trust meeting tonight, and I just want to let folks stay tuned. Getting ready to put both Stockbridge and Nelson Road on the market and going through the regulatory procedures that need to be done, so I think it's exciting news. And hopefully we can help them advertise once we seal the deal with the, we just need to sign a contract with the company that's going to help us do that to make sure all the regulations are followed. 3 units out there, and one's beautiful on Stockbridge Road, so nice 3-bedroom family that's coming out on the market. So it's great progress. Coastal Advisory we had last night, and the Commission is really taking a look at sea level rise models and wave overtopping forecasting models. We had 2 folks from CZM there last night to help them with some of that analysis and working through some of the different things to look at, so it was a very informative meeting. We have Coastal Advisory Commission page up on the website, so we're starting to post the minutes so folks can see what's happening and the agendas as well. So they're making some nice progress in anticipation of that engineering report in July, we should get that.
Just had a question. So is the Mariner or ATD going to cover the affordable housing thing at all? Any information? Because I know, like, at Marshfield, you'll hear a lot about it when they're doing theirs, you know?
It'll be advertised there, there'll be a full-fledged advertising schedule, but it would be nice, once it does get finalized, if we can get that information out there, yeah, that's a great idea, Marie.
May I ask a quick question?
1 second. Is it pertaining to this? Yeah, go ahead. Just say your name again.
My name again is Dennis Covey, 34 Cromwell Drive. It's been nice spending the evening with you guys. I was just thinking how much nicer it would be for me personally if I could watch this on TV. Is Comcast the only way to do it?
Right now?
There's nothing we can do?
No. So,
Do you have
do you have Verizon? Are you living in Hummerock?
access? Because it's also on, is it on YouTube as well?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not live, Doc, not live, yeah.
not live, but
But you can watch any meeting on YouTube in about 48 hours.
So you're in Hummerock?
No.
No, it's up at
Crelman Drive.
Off Man.
Oh.
Across the street from the safety.
Oh, you
From
just,
the public
because I know
safety.
some of Hummerock has Verizon, has Fios.
So I have satellite.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I could I could pressure them, but that doesn't do anything.
Good luck. Yeah.
Now, if you have internet at home, you can watch these meetings on YouTube. Not live, but they're usually posted within 48 hours.
Okay.
And, yep,
Better than nothing.
yep.
All right, just come on down. You can come. Come on down.
I won't do this again.
Hey, you're lucky you got a seat tonight.
I know. Honest to God, I was worried about it at 6. Thanks a lot.
Take care, Dennis.
Don't leave before the sports update. So, I'll just, we talked about some stuff earlier, but in terms of sports, there's basketball teams, both basketball teams are doing great. Boys have won 3 games in a row, and I think the girls have as well. The girls play Friday night at home, so go down there and support them. Every Tuesday and Friday night, there's a game in the gym, so I urge you to go support them, as well as the wrestling team. I think they're wrestling one day next week, so, and they've got a great team going this winter as well, so I highly recommend that. And then on the weekends, as John knows, every age from 4th grade to 8th grade is at one of the gyms in school, so it's a lot going on, so a lot to go see if you're bored on one of these snowy days. Which brings up, it looks like this storm is going to miss us to some extent, but it's still cold out there and there's still ice on the road, so please drive carefully. You know, there's construction going on and all kinds of things. And kids and potholes, so, you know, just err on the side of caution. Great, if that's it, we will have a motion to adjourn and sign documents. So moved.
Second.
Second by Mr. Harris. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night, folks.
Good night, everyone.